Military victories are no longer possible.
It's technology that makes all the difference.
There are many areas in which India and Pakistan can cooperate.
Either we realize what's happening around the world, or we will be set aside. If we do not move away from a completely India-centric foreign policy, whether it is with India or whether it is outside India, say for example in Afghanistan, the world is not going to wait for us. There are larger objectives the world has, and it will just force us to give access to India if we don't give it willingly. We have to realize, we have to ask ourselves, why don't we want to give India that access? We stand to benefit as well.
In the dynamics of the modern world, a benevolent relationship between India and Pakistan is a political necessity. The two countries, who have historically maintained a relationship based on conflict rather than conflict resolution, need to understand the political interplay and generate successful policies of coexistence which can impact the standing in international affairs for the positive.
भारत एक बार फिर ये वादा करता है कि वो कश्मीर के तनाज़े को पाकिस्तान के साथ पुरअमन और बाइज़्ज़त तरीक़ों से तय करेगा.
I find it difficult to think that the future could be any worse than it's been already, frankly. I guess the worst case scenario situation could just stay as it is, right? Just remain status quo. But I'm hopeful, I think, that, like I said, I'm hopeful that more and more people, ordinary people, now understand that this enmity with India was probably, or has probably been, more harmful to us than beneficial.
There are several factors that urge the two countries towards peace and towards cooperation, and these factors are very obvious. The first is the economic imperative. Both countries need peace in order to realize their economic potential, even though the economic potential may be different for both countries. Secondly, of course, countries now, both the countries live in a nuclearized environment, so they need to define what is an undefined strategic relationship between the two in this nuclear environment. And the third factor that urges them towards cooperation is the dynamics of globalization, because that's creating the kind of imperatives where countries need to cooperate rather than be in confrontation. And I would also say that there is broad sentiment for peace amongst the publics of both countries.
Let us not forget there are hardliners in India, there are the Hindutva elements who are always screaming for every small concession India makes to Pakistan. We have to realize that India has constraints too, and we have to strengthen the Indian lobby that wants peace, that is prepared to make concessions. I don't think Pakistan has ever thought in this way.
I would revert back to the vision of the Qaid-e-Azam, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, on Pakistan-India relations. When he was asked what sort of relationship do you envisage, he said the relationship between Canada and the United States. Two countries, sovereign countries, part of the North American continent, living in relative comfort and peace. I think that should be what should be our vision, what we should strive for. We're still a way off from there, but I feel that things have changed. After going nuclear, that has injected national self-confidence in the Pakistani state and the people. If we feel more comfortable, we can look the Indians in the eye without blinking. We can talk to them, as I mentioned, cricket, commerce and culture and so forth. So I feel that the future will force the two countries to at least resolve some of the less intractable issues and then also to move on for a better future for both.
The feeling of antagonism and also hope of peace have been together, and you see these two streams of thought, both in India and Pakistan, and which streams becomes more dominant depends on the totality of relationships between the two countries. But future, I'm looking towards future, not towards the past, and I made reference to the dynamics of globalization of economies and how South Asia is likely to be connected with the Central Asian states, with Afghanistan and with Iran and many other countries. So I believe, and also there's a growing feeling within India as well and in Pakistan that military victories are no longer possible.
This one's going.
While war is always an option, India and Pakistan appear to share the same estimation that the practicality of a regional conflict is nil. Although this does not do too much to quell the threat perception. Granted, there are various outstanding issues that will continue to pose a problem for a cordial relationship. And if that is the case, then is dialogue the practical route?
In the immediate future, I think there is no doubt in my mind that we will be restarting the composite dialogue at some stage. India will continue to say what it is saying today, that unless Pakistan takes effective steps to control these camps from where these terrorists came and attacked Mumbai, so far they've not done so, but we'll wait and see. This is what they're saying.
It must be backed by action taken by the government and authorities of Pakistan.
And this they made a condition of. We are ready to start the composite dialogue as soon as possible. My own feeling is that over a few months, the Indian conditionality will evaporate and that they will at some stage sit down and start talking to Pakistan again. In other words, to pick up the thread from where Qureshi left off when he was there at the Mumbai.
Satellite phones that were being used by the terrorists, that particular phone, and you can see it bearing numbers that go back to Pakistan, Jalalabad and certain other areas.
Ammunition, a satellite phone and a layout plan of CSE were recovered from Azam, who hails from Faridkot in Pak-occupied Kashmir.
I think in the current environment, there are factors that should be urging India and Pakistan towards greater cooperation and greater engagement. But then those factors have to somehow trump the more long-running, deeply entrenched factors that create so much mistrust and suspicion. So I think you have both factors in a way coexisting. There are factors that are making for confrontation and hostility because they are part of the unresolved disputes that we've inherited from the past. And you also have factors which are new in this environment, which have to do with globalization and its dynamic.
The world is aware that from where they came, it's not for nothing that the international community has spoken in one voice. It's in the interest of Pakistan itself that it delivers.
If there is tension, if forces get deployed on either side, if visas are totally stopped and people can't travel and train is stopped with one pretext or the other, this train which goes from South Monabao, or with some pretext, which of course leadership is involved, this contact weakens all the time. And when all the Indian newspapers and television networks are all the time saying that these are very cruel people and look what's happening in Taliban and this is happening. So the whole public mind is polluted and plagued.